This book is called uh, Discourse on the Method of Rightly Conducting the Reason and Seeking Truth in the Sciences. Well, at this point in the course, just looking at that title, it should seem quite natural that we're reading something like this, because after all, what have we been looking at? Things about reason and things about how to seek truth with reason. It's been the whole theme of the course so far. And here we have somebody, Rene Cartesius, one of the great geniuses of history, giving us a method, giving us rules, giving us a way of using our reason, using our reasoning ability to find truth, which goes all the way back to the beginning of the course with Socrates and Meno. So that's what we should be looking for from Descartes. It's quite a promise to say that he is going to offer us a method, a way, um, an approach for rightly conducting reason, hopefully with the promise of actually finding truth. Today we're only looking at part one. And as far as offering a method, it's not offered here. Don't look for it. It's not. It's not till later. What does he do in part one? Well, I think it's really interesting. It's really kind of an autobiography, an intellectual autobiography. He's telling us about his education. I don't know what school he went to. I know he had a Jesuit education in France, a very good education. And he was very talented intellectually. Um, and this first part is really a reflection on the nature of his education, which was not all bad. You know, he well, whether he learned anything, that's the question, right? Because if you say, "Well, what did he learn?" and he tells you what he learned, well, did he learn anything? Right? In a certain way, he doesn't know whether he learned anything. He's not sure, and that's kind of implied by uh, his review of the different subjects that he that he studied. This is at the bottom of page 5. It's pretty amazing where he says he grew up in a world of books. And then, yeah, from my childhood, I've been familiar with letters. And as I was given to believe that by their help, a clear and certain knowledge of all that is useful in life might be acquired, I was ardently desirous of instruction. But as soon as I had finished the entire course of study, at the close of which it is customary to be admitted into the order of the learned, I completely changed my position. Changed my opinion, for I found myself involved in so many doubts and errors that I was convinced I had advanced no farther in my attempts at learning than the discovery at every turn of my own ignorance. That's pretty dramatic and important, and extremely interesting. You know, he went to a really good school, and he had good teachers, and he read a lot of stuff and studied a lot of subjects. And at the end, um, he was convinced he had advanced no farther than discovery of his own ignorance, which is pretty amazing and might remind you of Socrates, really, another philosopher. But it's pretty funny when he talks about the subjects that he actually studied. Of course, he studied ancient languages, Latin and Greek. He says, I was aware that the languages taught in them are necessary to the understandings of the writings of the ancients, the great Latin and Greek authors like Plato, although I'm not sure how much Plato he would have read. That the grace of fable stirs the mind, that the memorable deeds of history elevate it, and therefore have its discretion aid in forming the judgment. So he studied classical languages, got something out of that, studied history, got something out of that. That the perusal of all excellent books is, as it were, to interview with the noblest men of past ages who have written them, and even a studied interview in which are discovered to us only their choicest thoughts. That eloquence has incomparable force and beauty, that poesy has its ravishing graces and delights, that in the mathematics, so he's reviewing all the subjects that he studied, there are many refined discoveries eminently suited to gratify the inquisitive, as well as further all the arts and lessen the labor of man. That numerous highly useful precepts and exhortations to virtue are contained in treatises on morals, that theology points out the path to heaven, that philosophy, and this is where it gets funny, affords the means of discoursing with an appearance of truth on all matters and commands the admiration of the more simple. He's got something nice to say about everything but philosophy. But if you study philosophy, basically it teaches you how to appear wise and take people in. So if I can tell you anything about that's pretty funny actually. But he is essentially a philosopher. Descartes, of course, was very important in mathematics and also in physics, although his physical theories haven't held up as well as his mathematical work has. But he's essentially a philosopher, so he studied philosophy in school, and he's making fun of it. Well, I guess philosophy gave me the example of how to appear to be impressive without really knowing anything. So, but it's just that he's going to concentrate on. That is, he wants to reform philosophy to make it useful. And the way that he's going to do it is by, well, we'll see, developing a method of rightly conducting the reason. Uh, so, yeah, tells us about his travels during the 17th century, it was the 30 Years' War. I don't know. Yeah, again, talking about theology and other things, but then talking about philosophy on page 8. Of philosophy, I will say nothing except when I saw that it had been cultivated for many ages by the most distinguished men, and that yet there is not a single matter within its sphere which is not still in dispute, and nothing, therefore, which is above doubt. I did not presume to anticipate that my success would be greater in it than that of others. So, finding his way out of doubt and falsehood in philosophy, that will be the method. And where will he find it? He'll find it in himself, he says. He won't find it in books, he'll find it in himself. Knowledge of myself, or the great book of the world, nature and myself. So, extremely, extremely interesting.